Hi, and welcome to my channel. In case we haven't already met, my name is Wendelin Van Draanen. I am the author of the book Flipped that became the movie Flipped. There's been a clamoring over the years for a Flipped 2, and I know that's because in the book and then in the movie, Bryce and Julie never kissed. And I probably shouldn't say anything, but I do have a surprise for you in the works, actually 2 of them. But that's for later. Right now, I thought I'd share with you a little story about how I tried to have the movie's ending adjusted a little to accommodate all the fan frenzy about it and to let you know that I was listening. The movie rights had been optioned by other people. So there were companies that had given me a modest amount of money to hold the rights to turn the book into a movie. This had been going on for years, so they would option it for like 3 years and then renew the option for another year, etc. It takes a lot for Hollywood to get the financing and put a movie together. There was a point where there were scripts written for the movie, and I got to see them, and they were done by these really well-known, very famous script writers. And when I read the scripts, I just cried inside because they had taken and done the Hollywood thing where they took the story and then they kind of went off in their own direction with it. And they turned it into some Christmas movie. And I was just like kind of heartbroken, like I felt sick inside. And I just was waiting for the option to expire because I just didn't want that to become the movie from my book. Once someone has optioned your story, usually the author has very little control over what happens to the property. They can kind of do whatever they want with it. So having a movie that's true to the book is kind of a rare thing, and that's why. Then I got a phone call from this guy named Rob Reiner, who is a very famous director. He managed to get the rights for the book Flipped, which is a story that I'll tell later, but he got the rights and he wanted to talk about it with me, which was right there, kind of nobody had done that before. So I was really grateful and very impressed. And he just gave me his ideas about, he saw it set in a different time period than where I had written it. And when he explained his reasons for doing that and capturing the innocence of that time of life, I thought, that it was reasoned. I thought that it was fine with me that he did that. And then he said he was going to use flip cards to go between scenes. He was going to tell both sides of the story, like Bryce got a chapter and Julie got a chapter, just like in the book. And I was delighted to hear that, of course. He said he loved the book. Why would I mess with the book? So that's music to an author's ears. Anyway, so he and a writing partner wrote a new script for Flipped, and he shared it with me, and I read it, and it was just like the book, which was amazing. Only there was a little problem, and that was the ending, because I was sure that Hollywood would do the Hollywood thing. You know, they would create the Hollywood ending. And I had been getting mail from readers for years about the ending of Flipped. I love the ending of Flipped, and you probably already know my reasoning for that. I love it. I don't want to change it. But for a movie and for getting all that feedback across the years, I thought I really needed to have a meeting with Rob Reiner and explain to him that fans of the book from all around the world he would consider a different ending. So I went there to pitch my ending idea. I arrive at Castle Rock in Hollywood. That's the name of his company, Castle Rock. I arrived there, and I was a little nervous, of course. And I was in the waiting room, and I was waiting, and they announced me. And then I walked down this hallway, and the first person that I meet is an assistant to Rob. And she has this wonderful British accent, and she's so effusive and so just nice. And she told me she had read this other book of mine called Swear to Howdy. And I immediately loved her for that, because it wasn't just all about Flipped for her. She loved this other book that I'd written. She loved me as a writer. And so all of a sudden, I felt completely relaxed and at home because of her reception. And And then Rob flags me into his office. So I meet him and I go into his office, and there are these posters of movies that I've loved throughout the years. There's The Princess Bride, there's When Harry Met Sally, there's This Is Spinal Tap. And I just realized that Flipped was going to be a movie poster that would hang on this wall too. And that was just sort of overwhelming. Anyway, his office had this big furniture. The chairs and the sofas were like made out of logs, like you could build a log cabin out of these logs. And the furniture was like this brown leather, and it was very big. It was kind of oversized. And so he told me to have a seat. And so he sat behind his desk, and I sank into one of these chairs. We got to talking, and after some pleasantries, I brought up the subject of the ending. And I told him about people writing me for years about the ending, and I had an idea how he could have the credits rolling by, and while the credits were rolling by, you could have these scenes which continue the story, which would be like Bryce and Julie doing Bryce and Julie things from that era, like riding bikes and flying kites and climbing a tree together and just getting to know each other, because that's the whole point. It's like, you need to know someone before you go goo-goo over them. And at the very end, the two of them can kiss. And I guarantee you, people will stay in the theater through all of the credits. So he listened very nicely. And then he turned around and just stuck to the book. Now, authors don't usually try to convince the director to change their story. It's more like the other way around, where they're trying to convince the director to stick to the story. But I want you to know that I did for you. It didn't work out, but I did for you. So thanks for listening. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you'd like to know about Flipped. And thanks for being a fan of Flipped. I'm glad the heart of my book found its way into your heart. There'll be more Flipped stories to come. So thanks for checking in. I'll see you next time.